if you're a dream chaser and at one point you were just trying to do something and now you're doing more of it and balancing something else, and then you're doing more of it, balancing something else in a relationship, in a fitness goal, in a finance goal, that's where things really start to get heavy.
I think that one of the biggest misunderstandings in the world genuinely is that success makes life easier. I don't think that's true.
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode. It was episode number 1225. What does scarcity feel like in your life? Today, for episode number 1226, an old favorite, a classic, growing pains. I don't know what part this would be. We did growing pains 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it may be. So I think at the end of the day, one of the things that I didn't expect in the beginning of this journey, Alan, I cannot speak to save my life, is I expected that eventually growing pains would just go away. Eventually it would get to the point where things were easy and things weren't challenging and I didn't feel bad.
Growing pains part 67.
Just for awareness, Alan and I are both under the weather on our way back to health, but we are both feeling a little ill, unfortunately. But I don't know. I was thinking the other day, I know you're going through a lot of internal stuff. I have a lot of congestion going on right now. Right now, I think I'm going more through external stuff than internal stuff. I feel pretty good internally. Externally, I think that's where the real challenge is for me. And we were setting our goals for 2023. We're in trouble, I think, in this episode.
We're in trouble. Me and the listeners are going to need you to get it together.
Yeah, we were setting our goals for 2023. And I told Tarryn, I said, I feel a lot of pressure. Yeah. And when I say things like that, I think she gets, I don't want to say sad, but like she leans in. She's like, what can I do? What can I do to support you? And I said, it's not that. It's more of like a subconscious, constant pressure of every moment matters more than it used to. And every interview and every one of these episodes, yeah, we joke, but it's like, if we don't get this episode done in the allotted period of time we're in trouble because something else, we're going to have to do it Sunday, or we're going to have to do it Monday earlier. We're going to have to do 8 episodes Monday instead of 7 episodes. We're both traveling next week, so we have to do like 10 episodes on Monday. It's just the level of pressure that has multiplied over the last couple of years, I think is it's just very, very interesting. And I don't know that you can really understand. I mean, if you're listening, you can understand to the level that it's multiplied for you. If you're a dream chaser and at one point you were just trying to do something and now you're doing more of it and balancing something else, and then you're doing more of it, balancing something else in a relationship, in a fitness goal, in a finance goal, that's where things really start to get heavy. And I think that's the interesting thing about trying to be holistic. So for us, holistic is life, love, health, and wealth. That is just such a challenge because you're always growing through something, whether it's, the realization of, okay, in order to make the amount of money we want to make this year, we can't miss anything and everything has to get like really, really, really good. That's heavy. The understanding that I'm potentially going to be traveling more this year. I'm definitely going to be traveling more this year than previous years. Like, what does that mean? Like, that's a lot of pressure, right? Logistics. I'm tired from traveling. I'm going to be flying all over the place. That's scary. That's heavy. It's harder than ever to get to the gym. I told you that. And I've been sick for the last month. So I can't even go to the gym because every time I do, I burn myself down. My relationship's been great, which I'm very grateful for. But it's just, there's pressure with that, right? How do I keep up with everything and make sure my relationship is fulfilling for both sides and, each of us are getting what we need? It's just, my goal in this episode is I want to make sure that you, if you're listening or watching, do not think that this is easy for us, and you don't think that we don't have any issues, and you don't think that everything is sunshine and rainbows. I think that's important.
Kev, it was probably a month or two ago. There's going to be a different energy in this episode. A month or two ago, you were talking about how the business was really good and everything was rolling and awesome, but your relationship needs some more attention. More time in the calendar, basically. Because that's the one thing, too. If you do sleep 8 hours, which I think you should, Kevin and I try to, you only have 16 hours. And what do you do with those 16 hours? Health, wealth, and love. Okay, so fitness is going to take at least an hour and a half, 2 hours. If you include mobility, you include eating the right foods, cooking the right foods, meal prepping, going to the actual gym, training, all that. And then you've got your relationship, which should have a couple hours a day, on average. Obviously, sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more. And then the business in particular, a minimum of 8 hours a day, but it's more than that, definitely. And I think the piece that I want to bring to this episode is just the understanding of the size of the goals that you set is going to determine the amount of pressure that you're under. And then the amount of pressure you're under is going to determine the amount that you innovate and grow. And so the analogy here is, so Emilia and I are traveling to North Carolina next week, and we're trying to, every single quarter, we're going to hike a mountain. And the mountain, the only requirement is that it needs to be above 4,000 feet. And we're going to North Carolina, and there's one, I think it's 4125, I want to say. I honestly don't know the name of the mountain off the top of my head. And what I was thinking about was, okay, so we have new hiking boots because last time we hiked, Emilia hurt her feet. Her boots didn't fit right, and she has like black and blue toes, or had black and blue toes, I should say. And I was just in sneakers because whatever, right? And so now we have all this gear and all that kind of stuff. So we're more equipped now. And so far, I think we've hiked 3 mountains. So we hiked Bradbury, which might as well not even be a mountain. It was like 700 feet. We hiked Wachusett, and then we hiked Slide Mountain, which was actually pretty intense. And that was like 4,200, I think, or something like that. But to bring this analogy home, if you're going to try to hike Mount Everest one day, and we're not necessarily, but like if you are going to hike Mount Everest, you're going to be under way more growing pains than, Bradbury Mountain in Maine, which is only like 700 feet. That hike was actually easy. We thought it was like literally like 15 minutes or something. And it was like, are we seriously at the top right now? Did you hike Bradbury too?
No. But you can hit a baseball almost 700 feet. It's like, that's very interesting. Maybe not. I mean, 500 probably. Yeah.
It wasn't large. Maybe 700 is off, but it was like, we didn't know the mountain. It was actually one of our clients we were staying with at their place, and they were like, "Oh, Bradbury's right next door." Bradbury Mountain, and I was thinking like, "Oh, mountain, cool." And then we hiked it, and it was like 10, 15 minutes. We were like, "Oh, okay." And the view was still nice, but anyways, so the amount of pressure you're going to be under, the amount of equipment you're going to need, the amount of equipping you're going to need, the amount of innovation you're going to need, the amount of skills and self-discipline you're going to need, the amount of pressure you're going to be under is going to be predicated on the size of the mountain, the size of the goal. If you want to play basketball for fun, that's awesome. No pressure. Just go have fun. But if you want to be, win an NBA championship, you're in for a lifetime of pressure.
Do you think it's because this is kind of my understanding of it. It's almost like when you get into a hot tub, it's really hot. It's like, it's sometimes uncomfortable.
I don't know where you're going with this, but
you're going to find out. It's almost uncomfortable. When you get into a hot tub, it's almost like you dip your toe in and then you get up to your knee, you get up to your waist. But then eventually, it's not that hot anymore. Eventually, your body gets used to it. I think that's what growth is. You and I, we do 1 episode a week. And it's like, all right, cool, we're doing 1 episode a week. We're already doing fitness. So we're doing six workouts a week. Now we're doing 1 episode a week. All right, cool. Eventually, that gets easy. Then we're doing 2 episodes a week, 6 workouts a week, and then whatever business things and coaching. It's like, that's really hard at the beginning. Yeah. Yep. Then it gets easier. Then we're doing 3 episodes a week, all of that and whatever business. I'm editing the podcast, I'm doing the video, you're doing business behind the scenes. All right, cool. Eventually we get to 7 episodes a week. And then it's almost like we just haven't figured out the business and the clients and the success, quote unquote, and the opportunity has grown with us. So we've never really been able to level set. The water's never gotten comfortable, really. And I think that's...
Yeah. It's because we're next level university, and the moment
Son?
But next level you, that's what it is. We live what we preach. And Kev, the moment we did get comfortable, we upped the ante.
I miss it.
Yeah, I know.
That warm, soft comfort.
And we've talked about this before, but you're supposed to level up and then ratchet in, and then level up and then ratchet in, and then level up and then ratchet in. Kevin and I sometimes don't spend much time ratcheting in. And I think that one of the biggest misunderstandings in the world genuinely is that success makes life easier. I don't think that's true. I think that it makes certain things easier, but the majority of things, it makes it more difficult. So when Emilia and I have children, we've been talking a lot about the next few years, and we're going to have children. And she is considering 3. I kind of would prefer 2, but we're still talking about that. But either way, that's going to make my life infinitely more difficult, but also infinitely more fulfilling and meaningful. I hope. I'm just joking. No, I know it will. And that's a dream. That's a dream. That's my dream. I've always wanted to be a father. So growing pains are going to be terrible, obviously. I don't know what I'm doing, but it's going to be worth it. And I think that has to be the frame you come from. You don't achieve your dream. I don't think anyone's dreams are supposed to be easy. I think that that's something I always come back to, of like, one of the reasons why dreams are so cool and so awesome is because of how hard they are and how rare they are. And I think that's why most people don't achieve them. I think there's something special about that. You know, if it was easy to be in great shape, everyone would be in great shape, and it really wouldn't be that valuable. That's the ironic duality of life. And so growing pains are a requirement. And I'll actually share this story briefly. I grew, so when I was in high school, Kevin and I went to high school together, for any new listeners. I was Kevin's height, even shorter. I was shorter than you when we were freshmen in high school, because you hit puberty a lot earlier than I did. And I was like 5'3" when I was a freshman in high school or something. I was really small. And I didn't hit puberty till junior year, essentially. So all the boys became men, and I just stayed a boy. It was brutal, genuinely. It was brutal time. But anyways, when I did finally grow, I grew like a foot in a year. And I went to the doctors because my shins hurt so much. I was doing track and field at the time, and I did cross country, and my legs hurt so bad. And the doctor said, it's growing pains. My friends used to make fun of me. They said I had baby syndrome. I had some mean friends. But anyways, growing pains. When you grow a foot in 1 year, you literally, your shins, like your bones, it was brutal. I remember it hurt so bad. I told my coach, I can't run right now. Like my legs hurt so much. My bones hurt. I can't explain it. And of course, you grow a foot in a year. There's something the doctor calls growing pains. That's really what it is. You think that your business doubling is going to be awesome. It's going to be really difficult to deliver on those promises, right? I mean, we just got a new client today. So our podcast production agency just got a new client. Awesome. Okay, now our team has more demand on it. You have more demand on your time. Okay, how do we equip the team and make sure that client actually we follow through and over-deliver on the promises we've made? It's just, that's the myth. It's a mistruth. You know, when you get to the NBA, your life is not easier. When you get to the Olympics, your life is not easier. When you have a family and a multi-million-dollar home, and your life is not easier. It's actually more difficult because now you have a $25,000 mortgage. I have one client who I coached early on. She's not a client anymore, but she was making $20,000 an hour at one point. Not every hour on the hour, but like she would host these events that made $20,000. And she'd host them like every couple months. And so she made like a good $300,000 in a year, but her expenses were $24,000 a month. You know, and so your lifestyle, your level of it's the pressure of that. Can you imagine having to, just to break even, you have to make $24,000 a month? That's not that's pressure. Now all of a sudden you lose a couple clients. Now what? See, that's a risky. Now you have to sell things. Now you have to lower your status. Now you're a quote unquote failure, and all that. So whether it's getting married, or it's starting a family, or it's starting a podcast, or it's building a business, if your goals are large, if your mountains are high, if your dreams are big, you are in for a lifetime of challenge.
Especially if that's the interesting thing too, is when you get a level of success, you also think about what that means to you about you. That's the other interesting part, is like so much of what we see is external. I said that the other day or yesterday. Somebody was like, because I went on a podcast and it was a very successful podcast. They've had Jack Canfield, Gretchen Rubin. They've had a lot of like really big guests. And they were talking about what's the number one lesson you've learned as a podcaster, or that, and like, how has podcasting shaped you? And I said, you have to understand, people hear the 1,226 episodes and they think, wow, that's a lot of episodes. But what they don't understand is I've learned something about myself in every single one of those episodes too. It's not just, I learn more about myself in everything I do than anything else. And I think that's where a lot of the growing pains come in. Like, what does me being this version of me mean for this current time?
Give me an example. Because what you see and what you find out about yourself is not always pretty.
Oh,
I
definitely.
think that's the other piece. It's when you're under pressure, you kind of realize your deepest insecurities, your deepest fears. It's very hard to be kind all the time.
Well, I told you this. I'm going to, and I know I sound like a broken record with this because I keep talking about it, but I'm going to Podfest. And I'm trying so like consciously so hard not to villainize other podcasters to make myself feel better. Because I'm very used to being the podcast guy. In 99 times out of 100, if I'm around somebody, I probably know more about podcasting than them, just based on the amount of episodes and the amount of coaching I've done. In this room, instead of that, I just want to be okay with saying, maybe I'm going to be insecure for a little bit, trying to figure out where I fit in. Like that, knowing that about myself, of in most of the rooms you're in, you're the strongest person. But you're going to a gym filled with other powerlifters and bodybuilders. Don't villainize them for being quote unquote better, stronger, whatever, more capable. It's not their fault. Like that, I'm going through that inner dialogue. And then like, what does that mean about me? Like, am I actually humble? I think so. But how do I be humble there and insecure? Like, just an interesting inner civil war, I guess.
Hello, my name is Dr. Tarryn McCarthy, and I'm host of the Business of Happiness podcast. When I met Kevin and Alan 2 years ago, I had no idea of how much impact they would have not only on the success for my business, but also on my life. They've given me enormous perspective and true strategies, true tactics to take in my everyday business plan and in my life plan to make an even greater success. Kevin and Alan, thank you so much. I couldn't even begin to express my gratitude for all you've done for me. And if you're looking for similar mentorship, I highly recommend these incredible experts at the Next Level University.
Well, you got invited to speak on a panel at Podfest, and you said there's going to be like 3,000 podcasters there, something like that. Think about that for a second, right? It's like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. But now you have to go in front of 3,000 people. Like, the anxiety of that, who am I going to be? How do I, like, all of that. So it's,
that part doesn't really bother me, I don't think.
I
don't think that bothers me, because I talk about that's the other thing, is like, I'm sure I talk about podcasting as much, if not more, than these other people.
Well, most of them probably don't have podcast production agencies. I know some of them do. And I know you don't like the word agency. Podcast production company?
Yeah, that's usually what I say.
Yeah. And a lot of them probably don't have as much reflecting on podcasting and coaching podcasters. So,
well, and they don't have a business partner necessarily. Like, you and I are always talking about stuff, whether it's, it might not be podcasting specifically, but it's like human psychology. We are always thinking of stuff.
I think you're going to find that you're more aware than you thought. That's my prediction.
That's usually how it goes, but it's usually in things that that's the interesting thing. It's like, usually I don't think I'm that aware. Then I'm like, oh, wow, I'm actually way more aware than I thought. I do think I'm unreasonably aware. So my assumption is there's no way I'm going to figure out that I'm more aware than I actually already think I am. Because that's just a weird place for me to be.
Yeah, that's my prediction.
Well, we'll find out. We'll find out in a week.
Back to growing pains, though. What is the successes that we're having are awesome, and I take nothing from that. That's wonderful. But the moment Kevin and I sat down and we looked at the revenue in 2022, and then we had a conversation of, honestly, we missed the mark. We still did really well. As far as statistically speaking, we did unbelievable. You know, we generate more revenue than 99.9% of all podcasters. But it's so interesting because compared to like businesses, it's not, podcasters, we're top 1% of 1% of 1%. Businesses, no, right? Not even a little bit, right? If we compare to Amazon.com, we're doing terrible. Let's just say they make more in a day than we do all year. But that's actually what I'm comparing to in a weird way. So that's interesting.
They probably make more in a minute than we make all year.
Maybe.
Right?
Maybe.
We'd have to run the numbers.
Yeah, we'd have to run the numbers. But which is a whole nother interesting thing, right? Because that's another level. That's another level. And one day I genuinely believe that we'll maybe not be at that level, but we'll be doing some really cool things in the world I'm excited for with other businesses and incubator program, all kinds of stuff. But to bring it back to growing pains, we immediately upped the ante, and I said, I think it's possible to do $1 million. I think it's possible. I don't think it's probable. I think it's going to be brutal. And I think that you and I cannot miss a trick. And so the pressure of that I've been feeling it too. I like it kind of. Too much pressure and it's too much. And it's like you kind of, how do I explain this? It's almost like I'm running through I'm on these calls and I'm coaching clients and I'm coaching the team and I'm doing all this work, but in the back of my mind, I know we're not ready. I know we're not equipped. I know that I know the Super Bowl is coming and I know we're not going to win unless I do XYZ. And sometimes I don't even know what XYZ is yet. I just know that we're not going to win. And so I'm trying to align all of the team, all of the business infrastructure, all of the goals and objectives, all of the systems and processes toward the mission. And now the one most important goal for me as CEO is to hit that $1 million mark. And honestly, even if we get halfway there, we will have doubled our business. So I'm really hoping for that. But I do think it's possible that we hit $1 million. I think it's probable that we double. And I think if I was really pessimistic, we would do 33% above what we did last year, which is still pretty amazing for a podcast. But this is my point to bring it all home. Shooting that high, not pretend, not pie in the sky, not saying it but not acting on it, but actually trying to do that. Every department meeting has been yo, we can't miss. I told Kevin, you cannot miss a single podcast. We need every one of those podcasts if we're going to serve our community and our clients at the highest level. And if we're going to bring in enough clients to actually have that happen. So impact is the goal, and the $1 million is really just a profitable mark that indicates impact. But there's no wiggle room, really. That's the thing. We've set our 2023 up on purpose for no wiggle room, which creates massive pressure and massive growing pains, but it also creates a ton of growth. And then that growth creates success. So it's this cyclical thing of set goal that scares you, that you think is possible, allow the pressure to rack your brain around how to innovate and get better, and then deal with the growing pains of implementation. And then as soon as you hit that goal, up the ante again. And so we're all achieving our way to the unachievable. And I think people need to understand that. There's no end state. There's no I mean, we could hit 1.5 million and it would be like, okay, let's do 3 next year. It doesn't matter really, but it also means the world. So it's that duality of like, let's say we only hit 600,000. Like, okay, now we double next year. Like, these goals are supposed to ignite you. I think that's my point. I want all the listeners to be ignited at the level that they're ignited, that they're on fire, that they're passionate and purposeful. $1 million is useless if it's not aligned with your passion and your purpose and the mission. So that the $1 million is an arbitrary measurement. Are we giving our all on the way? And is that goal going to ignite us at the highest level and innovate at the highest level so that we can help more people? And that's the thing that I think I'm coming to realize when I'm coaching some of these businesses. They don't really understand that the measurement doesn't, like, the goal you set isn't to get the goal. I've said this for years now. It's to ignite you at the highest level to eventually become the person that can impact the people that you want to impact. And so you probably could explain that better than I could. I'd love to hear your new understanding of that, because in the beginning, I think you actually thought like getting the goal was like a thing.
I think it depends on your level of belief. I think if you have a level, say you have a level 5 belief, I think most people are setting goals to get the goal, not to make progress so they can set a bigger goal next time. I do think for a lot of people, it's kind of like this is the goal and it is final.
Well, what's your new understanding? Like, what would you tell?
I don't necessarily think that's wrong for a lot of people, honestly. Because I now have the understanding of, I don't think it's healthy for most people to be under the amount of pressure that we are. I'll speak about, I had COVID and I was literally forcing myself not to check my phone. I had to force myself not to check my phone because I knew I would work. And I literally, like, my head hurt so bad I couldn't even open my eyes. I don't think that's healthy for most people, So it's almost like, that's why I'm now it's like, I want you to set, not you, the collective you, I want you to set sustainable goals. So at least your growing pains are in proportion with your capabilities. Yeah. Because that's hard. Like, we started the year and I was sick. Now I'm still kind of sick. We're, 3 weeks into the year and I feel like I haven't been productive in fitness at all. Business has been good. I've spent a lot of time with Tarryn because we've both been sick, but it's just, I don't feel like I'm off to a really good start for the year. Now I'm traveling.
Oh, I want to ask you this. I know we got to jump. This is my last question for you, which is, when you gave your first speech, it was in front of 40 people and you were under so much pressure. That was many years ago. Now you're going to speak on a panel in front of 3,000 people and you're not even concerned about it?
Well, it's not going to be in front of 3,000. I mean, there's going to be 3,000 people at this place, but this is like a huge event. Like, they rent out.
Oh, so like the panel will be like
people will be coming and going, and it's not. I don't expect. But for me, it's like, I'm not even thinking.
Let's say it was 3,000 people and you're on a panel. Like, would that scare you?
I don't think so. I don't know.
Isn't that interesting? So like, what used to
it's not just me.
So much anxiety.
It's not just me. There's 4 other people. So it's like, for me, it's almost like, I don't know, in a way, I don't know how valuable it's going to be. I don't know what to expect. So I think my lack of expectations also sometimes helps with lack of anxiety. When I'm speaking, I expect I'm the front and center and I want to crush it. When there's 4 of us, I realize, it's only a half hour. What am I going to get? 4 minutes, 5 minutes, max, depending on the conversation.
But for a lot of people, think about old Kevin. Old Kevin would have been scared of that for sure.
Yeah, but I think I overcooked the turkey in terms of podcast events.
I think that's my point is set goals. I feel like I've
been ready.
In a weird way, the opportunities people think they want, they actually aren't ready for. Sometimes, and by the time they're ready for them, they won't value them as much. That's like another weird thing that I've tried to explain. Kevin and I joke. I said, by the time you go on Joe Rogan, it won't be that big a deal.
I've been watching a lot of Joe Rogan lately.
You have? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It helps me. I don't know if you've noticed. If you're listening, you're watching, maybe I don't know. I think I'm a little bit more philosophical when I listen to Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
There's it's different. It's different. All right, we got to pop because we're going to be on here all day and you have a call coming up, I think, maybe in a couple minutes. I don't know. All right. Next Level Nation, as Alan mentioned, or I don't know if he mentioned this, I am opening up mindset coaching again. So I realize that while we have a very successful business and multiple businesses, a lot of them aren't serving the community. A lot of them are serving other people like podcasters who want to create a podcast like we have. And at the end of the day, the reason we are where we are is because of the amazing community. And I want to be around you more. I haven't been in the last probably year and a half because I've been focused on other things, but I'm opening up mindset coaching. So what I'm thinking is bi-weekly, every other week, I'm going to be reaching out to people who I've coached because I was actually turning people down. So if you're interested in that, please reach out. We'll have the link in the show notes. But I just want to serve the community. And Alan and I are drastically different in our coaching styles, but at the end of the day, we want to make sure that you're accomplishing the goals that you want to accomplish. And that is my ultimate goal. So if you like what we talk about on the podcast, it's deeper with one-on-one coaching, but it is with the intention of you getting the goals that you have desired.
Some people resonate more with Kevin. Some people resonate more with me. And we've said this before, but usually if you resonate more with Kevin, there's some things that I'm going to share that you also need. And if you resonate more with me, there's some things Kevin's going to share that you also need. And so I'm really grateful that you're opening up coaching, because I think when it was only me as a coaching option, I think there's a lot of people who resonate more with you that really would be served better by you. So that's what we're doing. We're opening that up for Kev, and he's going to do awesome. So I'm super pumped about that. Also, of course, brother, April 1st, we have a live event, Next Level Live. We're only taking 50 people. Picture Kevin and myself guiding you through a full day of the very best things that we've ever learned on this 6.5-year journey. I don't know if it's 6.5.
Whatever, dude.
5
You just
and a
make up
half.
numbers.
It's 5 to 6 years. But we have been masterminding behind the scenes. We've met and interviewed people all over the world. We've coached and worked with and masterminded with people all over the world, all different cultures, all different backgrounds, all different countries. And we're going to take all of the best that we've learned and really pack it into one live event. And it's going to be more of an experience than just lecturing. So it's, yes, there's a workbook, and yes, we're going to do some work because we want you to transform, but it's going to be an experience, and you'll meet other listeners. And really the point of this is to create a community. There's something about when you meet these people, you take photos with these people, it changes you, it transforms you in a way. When you go back home, you won't be the same. You'll be a better, more hopeful, more aspirational version of yourself. That's what I've found when I've gone to great events. So the link will be in the show notes. It's only $97. We're only taking 50 people. It's a very, very nice venue. So please get your ticket as soon as possible.
Next Level Nation tomorrow for episode number 1227, the downsides and upsides of discipline. We talk often about discipline, and I think sometimes people assume there's negative sides, or they have a relationship that's potentially negative with discipline. So we're going to talk about that. As always, we love you. We appreciate you. Grateful for each and every one of you. And at NLU, we don't have fans. We have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
And we will see you at the next level.